Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Incompetent Unboxing. Now, I already know what you're thinking. Tarks, there's enough Nintendo Switch accessory videos on YouTube. We don't need one from you. And you know what? I hear ya, and I even kind of agree with you. But eXtremeRate contacted me recently and wanted me to check out their chameleon glossy faceplate and backplate for Nintendo Switch Pro Controller Purple Blue DIY replacement shell housing case for Nintendo Switch Pro Controller not included. And god damn it, I really wanted this chameleon one here. Of course, the toss-up is, I have to do a video on it and show you guys what this is and what it's about, which I am more than open to. As you guys know, I'm not gonna just tackle this in the most dry way I possibly can. By the end of this video, I promise you, somebody will lose a finger. With that, let's get into it. Start off by opening this package here. Now at this point, I'm legally obligated to tell you that I don't know what I'm doing, but I am a professional, so don't do this at home, even though I, who don't know what I'm doing, is doing this at home. Oh my god, it worked! It actually worked! I managed to open the case just like that. Alright, so, inside, we have, is it just this one little box here? Yes, so it looks like everything just comes in this one little box here. Now, of course, you know how we have to open this up. You just, pull these little cardboard things here. And in here, this is the faceplate here, all wrapped in the bubble wrap. And this is one thing that I actually really like about this package here is that they send you all the tools you need to disassemble your current Pro Controller and reassemble it with the new shell here. Now, let's take a quick look at what's in this package first. Okay, yep, so there are no instructions included in the packaging itself. There's the back there and the front faceplate, but there are instructions online if you really need the help. But, you know, it's pretty self-explanatory. Just unscrew some things and screw some things in. That said, I'm certainly not an expert on this, and it might take a little bit of work for me. So we're gonna start with the two screws here on the bottom, I guess. I've never actually taken one of these apart before, so it's kind of cool how that works there. Just try to keep yourself well organized while you're doing this. You don't really want to lose any screws or forget which screw goes in what hole. You end up putting the wrong one back in the wrong spot and damaging something. Okay, so you can see how the back shell works here. These are exactly the same, of course, so you got little screws right here, 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 and here that all need to come out. Thankfully, these screws are a different color than the ones on the outside, so it shouldn't be too hard to keep track of which is which. We're just gonna pop that off now. Comes off pretty easily. Set that aside. Now, from here, we've gained access to two more screws. So we got one just down in here, and another right down in here. Probably would have been a good idea for me to take that out a little bit earlier, but now that's fallen out, I'm just gonna leave it out and hope I remember to put it back in at the end. Now we also have one more screw right down here. From there, we're just gonna pop the faceplate off, provided I did not miss any more screws. Now, of course, the answer here is I did miss some screws, right here and right here. And they provide this extra little screwdriver you see with like a longer head here. So we're just gonna dig in there now. All right, so now we pop this off. And it does have like a little bit of a grab, especially like on the bottom pieces, but overall, it disassembles pretty easily. Now we do have a ribbon cable right here holding the two pieces together. For the time being, you're probably gonna wanna detach that. Now we need to separate the remaining electronics from the faceplate here so we can transfer it to the new one. Okay, so we had a total of 4 screws holding that all in. Leave no part here behind. That's absolutely important. You don't want to put the whole thing back together and realize you're missing a button. All right, now that that's all back on there, we gotta stick this piece back here, exactly as before. There's about 4 screws holding this together. We'll move right onto those now. Okay, so that piece is back together. Feels like it's in there snug enough. I don't need to tighten the screws anymore. Next, we are going to put this piece back in, but make sure we get this ribbon cable in place first. So this little piece right here that the ribbon cable goes into, it does clip up and down. Make this a little bit easier on yourself if you'd like. Doesn't really make that much of a difference, but it can help. All right, so my ribbon cable is already back in place. Now we're just gonna line these up. Snapped back in. So you have the joysticks on the front now. All right, so now that that's clipped back into place, we just go about putting all of our screws back in. So we got the 2 here, the 2 here, and the 1 screw there. Now remember, you do need this screwdriver to get to these little recessed screws here. And I'm gonna start with those first. Okay, so that is the last screw in there now. Now we're gonna go on to putting the back plate back on. Same business as before, only make sure you don't forget to put your battery back in, like I almost did just now. Now your 4 silver screws go in the back here. Now, of course, lastly, we put on these bottom pieces here, which have just the 1 screw hole in the bottom, and you should only have 2 screws left. Now, mind you, they did send me all these extra screws to use, but I'm just reusing the ones that were already on here. Probably worth mentioning as well, but the screwdrivers that they send you do have little magnetic tips. Now, they're not that strong, but they do help out in a pinch. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, it is done. And I gotta say, this is a friggin' sexy controller. Now, I am somebody who uses basically nothing but my Pro controller because I do have Joy-Con drift issues. And you know what? I'll take anything to make this thing look better. The stock black, it's fine, but it doesn't jump out, you know? This one here, it's kind of like holographic. The color changes in the lighting from like purple to blue, and it's a little bit glittery. It's probably gonna show some smudges, but overall, I gotta say, I really do like the color of this. In fact, this is the same kind of color I use to light most of the backgrounds in most of my videos. So yeah, it's definitely the kind of thing I'm looking for my controller to stand out. Now, I will have links to where you can buy this in the description below. This was given to me by eXtremeRate for the purpose of the video and promotion, so this is technically like sponsored content. The price of this is $31.99 Canadian. It's probably a little less in the States. And while that might seem a little expensive at first, just for like a couple pieces of plastic, the faceplate, I gotta say, I think they make it worth it by sending you the tools that you need, especially if you're like me and you don't already have them. These are things that you can use again at a later date. So yeah, definitely an awesome little product. If you guys are interested, give those links a check. And thank you, eXtremeRate, for sponsoring this video and sending me this awesome little shell for my Nintendo Switch Pro controller. And that's about gonna wrap it up for today, but hey, wait a second. Did you take one of my chicken fingers? Give it back!